everybody's name.
That's what I'm going to do. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday book launch. My name is Malika Albrecht, and I'm a founding editor of Redheaded Stepchild. We're closed to submissions, but don't worry, we'll open up again in February. I'm super excited to have my friend and fellow fabulous poet in this area. Yeah, we're pretty Greenville heavy today. That's awesome. There's 4 of us, or Greenville area. Melinda Thomsen. And we were just talking and hopefully we can circle back to that conversation, Melinda, about your experiences with, post-publication and how you get the word out about your book. The newest book is Dropping Sunrises in a Jar. And I did want to read a blurb from Jose Hernandez Diaz. Yeah, I love the cover. We'll come back to that too. But I really appreciate how he speaks about this book. In Dropping Sunrises in a Jar, Thomsen skillfully highlights and juxtaposes the cyclical nature and the beauty of sunrises and the corresponding splendor and chaos of local fauna, flora, as well as man-made technologies. From minas in Maui, which makes me happy, bridges in New York City, construction in Prague, to warblers in Maine, Thomsen's celebration of origins and beginnings cleverly serves as an homage to rebirth, routine, and hope. That is a quote from Jose Hernandez, who's the author of The Fire Eater and also Bad Mexican, Bad American. And with not much else to say there, Melinda, I know you have some in-person readings coming up, but I appreciate you deeply coming on Zoom and reading here and letting us to celebrate with your newest book. Thank you.
Well, this is awesome, Malika, and I've been looking forward to this. And so I think I'm always struggle with how I'm going to introduce how to read from Dropping Sunrises in a Jar. But I keep coming back to the arc of the book itself. And so I think I will just start with start in the present, and then we'll be going back into the sunrises. I've been writing sunrise poems for I hate to say it, but I think it was 1998 when I wrote my first sunrise, because I thought I better get up once in my life and go see a sunrise and see what it's all about, because I'd never really seen a sunrise before. And I found that, like what Jose said in his blurb, and also what Elizabeth Coleman said in her blurb was, it's about hope. And Elizabeth Coleman actually said it's really a kind of a punk hope, where you've got this kind of, the happy ending, because I'm so tired of the unhappy, end of the world kind of stuff. So, and I just find it's helpful for me as a person, just to get through and see how much at sunrise, how much the animals enjoy seeing the sun come up every day. I mean, our chickens get up at sunrise every single day because they are so excited to go scratch in the dirt again. And I'm like, but you're just scratching in the dirt. But they're like, no, this is great. So it's kind of like why does that go? Why are they so happy? So that's pretty much what this whole book is about. But I'm going, and also I've got a poem that just is going to be coming out in North Carolina, a literary review. It's one of my poems about the Ukrainian war. And so there are a couple of Ukraine poems in this book too. And so I thought I would start off with that tonight. It's called Looking at the Sky on April 3rd. As Ukrainians count dead Russian soldiers left behind in Kyiv and Bakhmut, our granddaughter turns 2 months old. And this evening we watch the International Space Station fly over our neighborhood from the northwest to southwest in 4 minutes. The station appears as a bright flashlight gliding through the night until its solar panels no longer reflect the sun, and it shrinks from sight. On board, astronauts from NASA, the European Space Agency, and Roscosmos work together, and when they pass by, I wave. I want to believe the ring on my finger reflects a bit of street light, that they may see my flashing, signaling that someone lives here, and she hasn't blown herself up yet in a blaze of hubris. I look skyward to remind every star willing itself to glow. We are here. So I'm going to do another. So this is in the introductory section. I'm crazy about Emily Dickinson. So one of the first poems that I read of hers was I'll Tell You How the Sun Rose. And so that's the first section. And then the second section is the next line in that poem, A Ribbon at a Time. And then the third section is The Steeples Swam in Amethyst, which is the third line from that poem. So, and this is, so we're going to travel around a little bit. And I went to China to do teacher training, and we went to, we flew into Beijing, and then we went down 8 hours to Xintao University. I can't, I don't know where I was. I just went. They just booked us and we went. And so when we finished the teaching, I needed to go back to Beijing, and my other co-teacher was staying to go down the Yangtze River and everything. So the way it happens is I had to take a train from Xinzhou University and go back up to Beijing, which is like 8 hours, and you do an overnight thing. So this is called the Zoetrope Sunrise of the Taihang Mountains. Waking in a sleeper car, bunked with 3 strangers, I raised the shade to watch the sunrise, a pale peach glow among the snoring, cornfields stretch beneath gauzy clouds as our train enters a tunnel, and metal sounds reflect off its stone interior. As we exit, the ochre sky lightens, then another tunnel, and again a waterfall of noise. Now the sun glows behind mountain peaks, and mist rests in the Taihang Valley of lush shrubbery. When a tunnel eclipses that view, the train travels through tunnel after tunnel, but between glimpses, the sun rises, and we emerge into a village with streams edging the foothills, framed with cornfields and box houses. A man feeds his donkey. The child in our cabin coughs. For the Chinese, the road over Taihang means the frustrations of life. Where the sun rises through slits, the zoetrope carries me home, or someplace where I can untangle myself through flashes of beauty. I had to get out through stillness until bit by bit the womb opened. Thank you. I see everybody's clapping there. I appreciate that. So the second section of the book is about many different sunrises, and and if you're writing about the same topic over and over again like this obsessively, it's with free verse, it just seems you just end up repeating your vocabulary too much. So what I did was after like at least 3 reiterations, I got to a collection of sonnets, and they're linked sonnets. So it's a crown of sonnets going from, there's 15 of them. So by the time, so the first sonnet, the last line links to the second sonnet, and then the second sonnet, the last line links to the third. And then by the time you get to the 14th, the last line of the 14th sonnet links, I think, to the first or something like that. But anyway, it's like a bracelet. And then the 15th sonnet is every first line in the crown. And my friend Meg Carney, I studied with her under Bill Matthews in New York. And she did a crown of sonnets for one of her books. And it was just, I was like, oh my gosh, this is just the most amazing thing. And to see that last sonnet kind of fall into place. I mean, it takes a lot of tweaking, guys. I don't know. I mean, you really have to be obsessive to do this thing, but anyway, it worked out. So the first poem of this section, Dropping Sunrises in a Jar, uses 6 of the words that keep repeating through the section, and it's a sestina. So you'll see, there's on the North Carolina Poetry Society, there's a video of Taylor Bias doing a sestina workshop. And she's talked about each stanza going into different rooms. And so, I mean, this took me a long time to do too, because I really wanted to do a sestina, but I mean, yeah, anyway, I'm gonna read this. Dropping Sunrises in a Jar. When daybreak edged the earth, I would roll over, unlike the birds. It was as if we lived in separate jars. Wrens whistle and chirp about flames, blooming into a ball at sunrise, then hush with the sun's full burning. I used to sleep through the daily burning, for I didn't care how much the earth rotated itself into another sunrise. But years later, I wondered why birds got so excited about a horizon in flames. So much time I've spent within a jar. The birds too live in a sort of jar, but they focus outward and seem to burn with a gratitude that fans their inner flame. See pelicans fly above the earth? They dip and lift until the idea of bird becomes a winged embrace at sunrise. When I traveled, I watched every sunrise to see night leave its door to morning ajar. And in its wake, I heard the calls from birds. Each place began with its horizon burning, though, and I worry our Goldilocks earth is ending. We choose to go in flames or up in smoke like a moth drawn to a flame, when just right gets too hot. But each sunrise still unleashes warbling tenors upon the earth. For we don't see birds flying into bell jars or coal mines, do we? While forests burn in the west, in the east, squirrels and birds gear up for hurricanes. Notice how birds of a feather fly from floods and flames. Instead, I wake to the sky's daily burning in these my sunset years to collect sunrises. One by one, I drop them in a jar, like candies gathered from my forgiving earth. But this burning keeps flushing out the birds who welcome the earth as if an old flame and add their sunrise songs to its tip jar. So. Okay, so we're gonna get into some of the sonnets in this section, and I'm so excited Libby's here because I want to read her Maui poem. She sent me these wonderful pictures of sunrise in Maui. So
it was actually, my husband is really the photographer and the poet in this family. So he is here enjoying every moment of this.
That's awesome.
Well, this is just, well, thank you, because I got those pictures and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to Maui and we're going to see the sunrise. I was so excited. So this one is called, obviously, Maui. When the earth ushers in its power star, my friend says her sunrise arrives with chattering minus, which drive her crazy. Next, a deep mauve appears in this horizon, almost the same way as here. Photos of a palm tree sweeping an arc across the sky, and 3 tourists, bright as Skittles, arrive to claim their spots on the beach. I smell the saline Pacific breezes, but here in the east, currents control the Atlantic's warming tidal wars, which heave back and forth into hurricanes. While NASA searches for suitable planets, Goldilocks considers moving to Mars. Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. This is
That's
awesome.
so great.
Great.
So great.
So, and then we'll go to New York, and you'll hear Goldilocks again. New York, as Goldilocks considers moving to Mars, some heavy metal colored clouds hang low, and rose contrails drift near the Triborough Bridge. At dawn, squawking gulls glide far above while I lean on the railing of iron bars. The birds get so excited. Why can't I let go with joy at rising suns like sparrows? They chirp in maple trees with a repertoire that ascends. The pigeons unite in an arc across the striped dawn sky, crisscrossed with ochre, rust, and beige. Rubies glow upon the bridge's pylons and dot the dark. The sun arrives in the finale to toss its molten light and speckle the surf below. Okay. All right, so in honor of the debate last night, the next one is called Atlantic City. I mean, not last night, it was the 10th. So Atlantic City. Molten light speckles the surf below, and above me trumps neon Taj Mahal. Above me trumps neon Taj Mahal. This was before he wanted to build a wall. That day, a red sun rose streaming yellow and pink ribbons, lightly touching the sea. The greenish gold streams of dawn then peeled away to a reddish orange, which almost revealed the hope of another day, as the sun simply appeared, framed in scarlet, and then evolved into gold flecks stretching to the shore, and waves clattered like coins before dissolving. The day arrived, and I went back indoors, pulling damask drapes on all involved. The brass handle flashed at my door. So, yes, I did stay at one of Trump's hotels once. Yeah. The next one is Prague. The polished handle flashes at the door. When light reaches the Diplomat Hotel, the sun's a burning coin whose strength swells and glows above the trees. Nearby, 4 trams enter Davichka station as scores of commuters descend the metro's stairwells. Here, no chatty pigeons or sparrows foretell the dawn, just traffic, sounding more and more like an orchestra of cars humming and buses braking with squeals that hiss. Even a fountain flares its beating drums. While tourists like me sleep, the Czechs insist on construction with cranes that jerk and thrum, with a screeching that lifts, not even mist. Okay, so those are some of the sonnets, and I'll go to the very last one so you can sort of hear all the first lines in the final poem. So that's number 15, and it's called On Clear Mornings. First come the crows, sparrows, and clerks, but I'm more the flame holding to her wick, as the earth ushers in our power star, and Goldilocks considers moving to Mars. See molten light speckling surf and shore, where polished handles flash from doors. There's screeching that lifts, not even mist, and waves of leaves start to rattle and twist. While birds fly like commas into conifers, only darkness stops tracks like these. In a breath, the sun emerges unfurled, and daybreak displays its wealth by reaching far. So finches start cheeping in distant trees. Another day opens this kind of jar. It's fun. I mean, the sonnets themselves they're sort of a variation on the Shakespearean sonnet, because I don't like rhyming couplets at the end of my sonnets. They just don't do it for me. So I kind of, the first two stanzas are like a Shakespearean sonnet. Or maybe not. Anyway, I think I've just messed around with these, but you've got the last two stanzas are 3 lines each. So that's kind of the difference there. But there's so I mess around with them a little bit, but there's no rhyming couplets to end them. Sorry, Shakespeare. Anyway. And then the third section is kind of taking the sunrise, the lessons of the sunrises. So I've got, I'll do the sunflower triage. Okay. I found a sunflower laying sideways in the cucumber bed, unearthed with its roots intact. Placed in a cup, it leaned its broken self on a chopstick for balance to grow upwards. Think of your own plot of earth, where your new roots finger outward to pull in a nutrient or two. That is terror. I only need a sip of earth water, but a thimbleful is so scant. I want more than enough. As I place the flowers in soil and sunlight, a wren chortled at the breeze, or transplants, or whoever would listen. After several weeks, all sunflowers stood without a cane or crutch, erect in newly dug furrows. Although dwarf, they stretched into the sky and turned sunward until their faces spread like saucers. 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish fed 5,000, like water droplets that sustain one Helanthius. Thanks, guys. This is my skeleton's pep talk. And okay, my skeleton's pep talk. I do my best to hold you up, even all those years you heard. Don't hunch over so. Stand up straight. Throw your shoulders back, as if posture depends only on calcium, rich bones, and attitude. I can't make every little girl stand ballerina straight. So much sadness gets in the way. Let's forget about roses stooped over in dry vases. Look at how birds stand with backs arched and proudly focus on being a bird. Hear the wren each morning using its skeletal gift at full throttle. It's not my doing alone. One day you'll shape yourself into the bird your soul holds. I think I'll finish with two poems, Malika. Is that good? Okay. This is all right. I like this one. I'm gonna read this one. And on threading needles with camels. And it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. That's from Matthew 19:21 to 24. My husband wears jeweler's glasses to thread needles as he patches clothes. When I see him sewing, I see camels. If I took a lock of camel hair and threaded it into a needle, camels go through. If I held an entire camel with some pulley system and heaved it 600 plus pounds upwards, turning it to fit through a 2-story opening in a needle welded from steel, would St. Peter throw open heaven for us all? One strand of camel's hair carries its DNA, but leaves its weight, speed, and height behind. If I moisten a lock of camel hair with my saliva, twisted it, and thread the needle, would we both go to heaven? If I pulled out of myself one bit of inner camel, the part that lopes through deserts, shuttling tourists without bitching, would I be more decent? Perhaps I overthink Proverbs, but I love how camels chew, spit, and walk out of sunrises. So, I know that I sent invitations to come to the open mic tonight, and I asked for moon poems. So I'm gonna leave the sunrise poems a minute, and I'm gonna read my moon poem to get the moon poems going, if you have moon poems. And this one is called Echeveria. And it's from the Armature collection. Echeveria. You grow so slowly while your wild hair roots speed forth like a lion from its lair. I stare at you, searching. Look, your neck's lengthened and a florets emerged in a pinhead bouquet. Oh, why do you beg us to quietude? Last night, the moon shone through trees like a cyclopean headlamp with a Jupiter antenna and drove moonshine across the carpet in white brilliance. Sleepless planets, stars, and succulents twirl along their way, and so do I. Tiny hens and chicks burst forth from a leaf, lying on its back in your loam, water bereft, happy to burgeon toward our nearest star. Why not the moon too? My jade plant turns up and out, beyond and farther, with a new nub pushing away from its stalk. Why can't I do more than fret? Share your chlorophyll secrets with me, so I can drink of the stars with you. Well, thank you, everyone.
Oh, thank you so much. Why can't I do more than fret? Also, sorry, still love shuttling tourists without bitching. My inner camel. If people want to unmute, we're pretty relaxed here. Feel free to ask questions to Melinda. Yeah, it's fabulous. Thank you. Just jump in with questions. You can ask about process or sections. I love hearing your sections. I have noticed that you have a real intentionality with how you create your books. That's enjoyable.
Yeah, I must say that I got a lot of books, early manuscripts rejected because I thought they're just good poems, you know? I mean, I heard like when I went to graduate school, they just said, oh, just put all your good poems into a book. That's all you do. And I was like, it's not what you do. So, so all the rejections. And finally, I made a book of baseball poems. I was like, no, you need a theme. So that's how I got my first book published. I just made
Yeah,
everything into a
interesting.
baseball poem.
Everything into a baseball poem. Also, I enjoy the fact that we as writers, because we're individuals, have such unique ways of approaching work, and your attention to details and the way the sonnet series and how you linked them, the Crown sonnet linked was definitely so, like, you enjoyed it. I could tell you enjoyed that process. That is something that would have my hair, just ripping my hair out. I just can't do it. So I have a deep admiration for how you, that it's enjoyable and it's wonderful poetry. So that's that's a feat. And I like, you know, I think that when you're writing and you think, okay, this is a, you know, group of poems that connect in with sunrises and that experience, how do I keep it from having the same words or the same, you know, facet, you know, without yeah, like having it turn in some way. And I think that using the form was a way of continuing to turn the image and turn the metaphor. You write very painterly in so many ways, and yet sonically with the sonnets, it was lovely. It was nice to hear. And I sometimes get caught in your images, but there was so much sound. I mean, if you think about the China poem and that the tunnels and the way you were so exact with like a waterfall of coins, I think is how you called it, or waterfall of noise. It was lovely. I could really feel that. So thank you for that attention. Did anybody have a
Well-
question for Melinda? And Melinda, you had a response. Jump in.
Oh, well, the Sestina definitely took me to places I didn't know I was going in that poem. Like at the very end, I was like, okay, what else can I say about sunsets, right? I mean, sunrises. And then I was like, oh, I'm in my sunset years. Okay, let
Yes.
me go
Okay.
there. You know, it was just kind of,
Yes.
it pushes you to think, oh, what, because yeah, I was stuck. I was like, I'm saying the same thing. How can I change this? And I really had to figure out, you know, taking those like the jar, more a
Mhm.
jar,
The jar.
the tip jar, and so it just like
No,
that.
fabulous. And also I think that brought in a whole nother element to the book. To me, you know, the sunset years was very important to hear. And that I just lost the one that yeah, Catherine was writing, love the cadence, it's very lyrical. Um you'll see the when I send you the chat section, you're gonna be like, oh, you'll see which lines were just like all of us were jumping in on. That's fabulous. Yeah. Um, into yeah, there one day you'll shape yourself into the bird your soul holds. Lovely.
Mhm.
Really enjoyed
Yeah.
that. And the wit, that's what I was coming to, Melinda. It cracks me up because we'll be going along in a poem and then you have like you know, to me what is such a unique way of bringing wit in, and I like it. It's surprising as a reader or a listener to hear the wit just barb out there, you know. So I like that. It's very
Yeah, I
enjoyable.
have to learn how to I have to learn how to loosen up, you know. So sometimes and I think that's what we do as writers or artists. You just, all right, just let it come out and and walk away, and that's it. I mean, the first poem I read about blow yourself up with hubris, I was like, what do I even mean? So I was like, oh yeah, I remember what I meant. It was like we're too selfish and we think we're so great. We're just blowing you know, we're just destroying ourselves with the earth. We're not paying attention to other things just as important as we think we are. So, you know, and just I don't know. It's taken me a while to not be so uptight with my poems and have to just like break them open, you know, crack them open in places is what
Well, I
so
mean, it's
just let
kind of
it
like
out.
opening the
Yeah.
jar as opposed to staying so separate or like contained or inner, like what my dad used to call navel gazing, you know. Um, and I think that the unique thing about moving into your sunset years is that striving for authenticity. I mean, in so much of the poems, there is a speaker who is self-aware, right? Who is reflecting and who is engaged in asking questions, is looking outward and inward, you know, moving between the two. And I think that that's something that comes for some people with with time, maturity comes, not all.
Yeah, but if you're doing something like that, you get to the point where, am I being ridiculous? And you're just like, okay, yeah, I am being ridiculous. So you just let it out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Well, I was going to that actually, thank you for that. It brought me back to what I wanted to say. Do you think now you self-censor more or you self-censor less as a poet, that you're more likely to take risks within your poems?
I don't, I try to write as much as possible. So the good stuff comes out without me even, you know, being in that rational part of the brain. Kind of let it come out. And it seems like that is helping. Like the Ukraine manuscript that I've got almost finished, that was on the first 100 days of the Ukraine war.
Oh, wow.
So I was writing something every single day. And that just helped some of these poems just come out like, whoa, they're almost done, you know? So, and all that kind of thing. And, you know, there's all these poets in the room right now that I see who are writing tons too, you know, and it just keeps
Flowing. Yeah.
gift poems. That's what Bill Matthew calls them. You keep writing the bad stuff because one day you'll get a gift poem out of all the bad stuff. You know, you just need to know to throw the bad stuff away because it's not working, or you just walk away from it because you forgot about it. You thought it was great at the time, but then you forgot about it. It's still on your laptop, and you're I don't know what to do with this thing, so just forget.
Put them in a folder that I call it dumpster fires, and you might want to dig in there. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I keep a folder that's called a positive folder in my filing cabinet. And so anytime anybody rejects me and say something nice about it, I print out something and I put all the positive, so it's a whole bunch of positive stuff in there. So I know I've got dumpsters on fire in my computer everywhere, but that positive folder helps.
Yeah. Well, and you never know when something, you know, is going to hit you in a different way and can thread back into a poem. I mean, you know, I think that the idea that every poem should be a gym is unrealistic. We know that people who play piano, you know, practice. They play the scales, and so that's when I wordplay and it's you know, an ugly baby, as it were. You know, it doesn't need to be brought for pictures, you know, it can just stay in the folder and maybe I'll revisit, because sometimes I do. I think Regina just said separate the parts of the poem might seed new poems. You never know. All of it's that beautiful practice. All of it's that engaging with the muse, finding our creative flow. And I admire people who are prolific, because I am not. Any thoughts or things that people wanted to say? If you wanted to get it
for a minute.
Yes, there we go. Cover, Melinda. What's the story behind it?
Oh, the cover art? Okay, that is my so I was trying to figure out how to put sunrises in a jar, and I had this idea of having the sunrises in a jar somehow. So I went to Epsy's and I got the mason jar from Epsy, and so I got the big one and then I shrunk it up to be a little one and found a little bird that was on, you know, you could use it, what is it called, where you can just use something for, it's in the public domain.
Public domain.
Public domain. And then I'm walking through our kitchen and I look above the door and there's a picture of a sunset that my stepdaughter painted in watercolor. And I thought, well, nobody will know if it's a sunset or sunrise. So I asked her for permission and she said, sure, yeah, you can use it. And so that's how that came. So I put the sunrise inside the jar. I couldn't get it really, like, you know, crisp around the edges. So the publisher, that's the reason why it's a white background. So there's no color on it's just a white background. So the picture could just lay across it and you don't see. Yeah. So I love that. I love the font that is similar to the font from Armature. I like that a lot. So that's how that went. So
That's beautiful. And Armature now looks like a sun color. That's really pretty.
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool.
And just to remind people, if you wanted a copy, if you don't already have one, you could go to Finishing Line Press to order the book. Or Melinda, can people reach out to you for a signed copy?
Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
And I'll put your website in there so that people can go directly to you and reach out. Is that the best way to do it? Just to reach out?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And it's just melindathomsen.com, but I'll put the link in there so you have access to it.
Yeah.
Any other questions or thoughts or comments before we move to open mic? And there's a link in the chat section. All right. Melinda, thank you so much. We are so lucky. Every Thursday we get to be in each other's company, good company, but hear amazing poems and hear a writer, talking about their experience of creating these or just sharing process. And it inspires me and it lights my fire. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Melinda.
I just put everybody in a quick order of who I heard first. So Regina, I have you, and then Catherine, then Cal, and then Christy. And Regina, are you okay with us showing? Awesome, because I really do want that to be out there. So let me see. That's the Zoom link. There we go. This is Whispers video. Oh, I probably need to share. Hold on a second. I just realized I need to share screen. I was going to play it and y'all are going to be like, I don't know where that's coming from. So there we go.
I think you have to click to use the sound. I think
Okay.
like if you stop
So y'all
it,
aren't hearing it?
not really. It's just it's low. I would
Okay.
say you need to like go out of it, and like when you click the go to share screen, it should say use computer sound somewhere. You have to click that box.
Okay, that is helpful. Thank you. Share sound. Girl, you actually just really did something for me because I actually need that for Wednesday. So
Okay.
thank you, Regina. You have no
You're
idea how
welcome.
this is going to help me. Can I hear it now?
Yes, yes.
I just love that. I love and I love that you did this yourself, Regina, and you were saying it was
Yeah, I put it up there. It's placeit.net.
placeit.net.
It's
I love how I
HTTPS.
feel like I'm floating into I mean, that's just gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we're going to start with you with a poem too.
Oh, okay. So, Melinda's, I missed the message that talked about the moon, but I actually do have a moon poem that is going to be in this book. I think I'll workshop this poem with our group. So you may have heard it. So if you've heard it, just, it's make it feel new somewhere in you. This is entitled, Maybe God is the Moon. Maybe it was the moon that bore me up placed me on its moon back when my light was low, so low I could not speak, could not utter, when I was sliced and excluded from my own voice. Maybe it was the moon that circled me through stages, plunged me into cold and silent darkness, turned me away from the light of a prideful sun, shocked and awakened my skin, nestled me in craters where my breath did not matter, allowed me to emerge in stages so that I, perched high, could witness that indeed the wages of living is death, paid early or late, and the tides will live longer than I. Maybe it was the moon that tenderly slid me down its beam back into the fray, reminded me of how to walk, to hide, to emerge, to cry for, to try to find a human space of other moon makeovers. Maybe it was the moon that reanimated my soul, filled it with purpose, taught me how to line this pathway back to wherever I need to be.
Yes. Good. Love it.
I'm muted and talking. I was like, I love that, Regina. If I heard it before, it hit me all over again. I love it. And I like that the moon, it is the reoccurring image, because a lot of things I was thinking about lunacy and hysteria, and how like the denigration of like, I don't know, I really like flipping that and
Yeah.
seeing it as nurturing. That worked for me in a lot of different levels.
Yeah, I'm actually very obsessed with. I'm in my moon phase right now. I'm very obsessed with the moon right now.
I feel you there. I feel
Mhm.
you there. I have been for a long time. And, it's funny, if you look at different mythologies around the world, oftentimes she's female. Now, occasionally you will see it reverse, but it's interesting to kind of follow the stories that wrap around the moon. And I like her iteration in your poem. To me, that speaks to me. Catherine, I have you next, so I will spotlight you.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't realize we were, going to bring a moon poem, and I do have one, but I can't find it. It's one I wrote about running under a full moon, because I run very early in the morning, usually around 4 o'clock. So if the moon is out in full, I love it. I'm also a moon worshiper. And then I can't find my sunrise on Florida Bay either, which fits, but I have them all somewhere. I've just been going through a lot of things, so my work area is a mess. So, but I do have this one medley, and I could read this. Medley of sight and sound, movement, lifting and swaying, caressing, swift fetch, gray and silver, blade of grass, twittering green, thorny bougainvillea, crimson, pastel sky, clouds magnanimous, omnificent, breeze gently caresses all, moving shadows as dusk settles in and daylight fades, brass into charcoal, with tints of embers, yellow and coral, blue. A cricket sings his solo, stops to take a breath, then begins again. The great blue croaks, and all is well. Beautiful Florida evening. I think I may have read this also in
It doesn't matter, because I think that really speaks to, the same. It reminded me of Melinda saying I'm in my sunset years. It's that same really, and I love the painterly aspect to it. And it was beautiful. Brass into charcoal really stuck with me too. And I see Regina twittering green, omnificent. Cricket sings it so well. Lovely. No, that worked perfectly.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Cal, I'm coming to you, but I see something straight can you hear me, Cal? You're muted. Your internet is, I think, doing something. Is anybody else seeing it flip between mute and unmute? Okay, so Cal, let us come back to you. There we go. Okay, it looks like you're back online.
He's
Make sure you
frozen.
unmute. Or maybe not. Make sure you unmute.
You can all hear me, right?
Now we
Gotcha.
can.
All right, good. I have a couple of moon poems, but I'm not going to read them. I was planning on reading For Kai-Hu about science, or I don't know. I write using science, especially physics or astrophysics, as a trope. So I look forward to Regina's book. And so you can see the haiku. I'm going to share screen. Nope, share is disabled. It's not important. Don't worry about that. Okay, these are my 4 science haiku. Even if nothing happens for a long time, it doesn't mean it won't. Arrow of time goes only one way. Press time set button in my sleep. Matter, energy, who understands them? Or space for that matter. A quantum event popped out of the local creek, smiling. That's it.
Thank you. Yeah, I really like that last line too. And also, even if nothing happens for a long time, doesn't mean it won't. That's awesome. Christy,
Okay.
That sort of has to do with the idea of the Big Bang and what's before the Big Bang.
Oh, wow.
gotcha. Yeah, true. Whenever you're ready, Christy.
Okay, so this is a Mabon poem that is actually coming up September the 22nd, and it's when day and night are perfectly in balance. So this is Mabon Prayer for Balance.
Ah,
Because otherwise I don't have a leg to stand on. Behind moonlight, I see the shadow of who you were. What lies between is scattered need. Thank you.
That's awesome. Boy, you started that one off just right on in there. I don't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I love hearing, I love hearing our open mic. Thank y'all very much. Very
too. Thank
much. Again, Melinda, thank you for letting us celebrate with you. And just a reminder, Regina was letting us know that at Emerge Gallery on October 27th, Sunday at 2 p.m., live and in person in good company. Also open mic, so bring a poem. Be well, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.
Hi.
Everybody.
It was fabulous, Melinda.
Oh, thank you to everybody. I
Thank
had
you,
some
Linda. I
beautiful-
really enjoyed those poems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was perfect.